Hello, Deadlings. Welcome back to Exploring the Entity, where killers, survivors, and secrets collide. I'm your co host, Mark.
And Ducati. On today's episode, we dive deep into some interesting information about the nightmare, Onryo, Mastermind, Xeno, Lich, Krasue, and the First. First up, we're starting with Freddy Krueger, who was released on October 26, 2017 in Chapter 6, A Nightmare on Elm Street. He belongs to the license A Horror Movie, A Nightmare on Elm Street. His game aliases are the Nightmare and the Sandman, and he is an American male. His lore states, even while he lived, Freddy Krueger was a creature of nightmares for those who truly knew him. Hiding behind a mask of warmth and friendliness, Freddy's actual temperament was only known to his victims. When those victims were finally heard, the parents of Springwood tracked Freddy down and took the law into their own hands. They thought that fire had rid them of a monster that night, that their children were finally safe. But evil as strong as his has a way of surviving. Years passed, the horror was buried, the victims mercifully forgot. Then somehow, Freddy returned, and dreams became nightmares once again. Freddy focused his angers on those he felt had wronged him, building up to his one true obsession, Nancy. But he underestimated her strength and resourcefulness. Together, with her friend Quentin Smith, she managed to weaken Freddy, mutilating him and leaving him for dead once more. Death didn't want Freddy the first time he encountered it. Why did they think it would take him now? He emerged once more, consumed with vengeance. Then he turned his sights on the boy who had blocked his path to Nancy, his number one. Freddy invaded Quentin's dreams, terrorizing him night after night, until his strength and defenses would be at their lowest. When the time was right, he forced the boy to return to the dark reflection of Badham Preschool. Here, he would have his final revenge. Freddy stalked the boy through the school's halls. He took his time, savoring every moment of the hunt. This was what he enjoyed the most. The smell of their sweat in the air, the ragged gasp of their terrified breath. They were his to toy with. There was the boy at the end of the long corridor, too tired and scared to run any more? Resigned to his fate? Freddy closed in, arms wide, claws raking the wall. Their tips traced along a pipe, the metallic shrieking only adding to the boy's apprehension. A shower of sparks rained on the ground and into the liquid that covered the tiled floor. A blue flame blossomed and quickly engulfed the room. The boy took flight as Freddy burst from the flames in a fury. Rooms and walls raced past in a blur until they were in Freddy's basement. There would be no escape from here. Slowly, Freddy closed in on the boy. His fear was so strong now that Freddy could almost taste it, but his eyes burned with a defiant hatred that was almost admirable. Freddy drew back his claws. Then Freddy felt another presence with him, something old, powerful, and dark. A miasma enveloped him, and the only sensation was a sound like wooden beams flexing and creaking in the distance. The echoing groan of metal crushed against metal, something arcane and unknown about. Halfway beaten language in pure terror, a moment of falling and spinning, and then Freddy was back in the school. But not his school. It looked the same, but it felt different. His powers were tempered in some ways and focused in others. The boy had gone for now, but another prey walked the hallways. Some would be inconsequential, others would become his new favorites. All would fall before his claws. We see Freddy's lore very depicted in his power, the Dream Demon. All survivors have a sleep meter that fills over time. Once filled, survivors fall asleep and enter the dream world, where they are afflicted with the oblivious status effect. Hitting an awake survivor with a basic attack will also send them to the dream world. Survivors can wake by failing skill checks, having an awake survivor perform the wake-up action, or using alarm clocks that also provide temporary immunity to sleep. Awake survivors hear the nightmare's terror radius and see him within 16 meters. Intermediately see him from 16 to 32 meters and cannot see him beyond that. Special ability, Dream Snares and Dream Pallets. While selected, press the power button to charge a Dream Snare, and press the attack button to release it. Dream Snares move quickly in a straight line through walls, but not over ledges. Survivors hit by the Dream Snare add time to their sleep meter if they're awake, while sleeping survivors will be hindered by 12%. While selected, press the power button to summon a Dream Pallet at a valid pallet location. Press the power button while targeting a Dream Pallet to rupture it. Survivors hit by the rupture add time to their sleep meter if awake, while sleeping survivors will be injured. Special ability, Dream Projection. Hold the ability button to teleport to a generator or survivor performing a healing action in the dream world. Upon teleporting, all nearby survivors add time to their sleep meter and are temporarily revealed with Killer Instinct. For each survivor in the dream world, the cooldown is reduced by 15%. Next up, his perks, starting with Blood Warden. When an exit gate is opened once per trial, when you hook a survivor, both exits are blocked for 60 seconds. You see the auras of survivors within exit thresholds. Next up, Fire Up. Whenever a generator is completed, earn 1 token, up to 5. For each token, you basic break pallets and breakable walls 6% faster. You damage generators 6% faster. You pick up and drop survivors 6% faster. And you basic vault windows 6% faster. Remember Me. Whenever the obsession takes damage, you earn 1 token up to 5. For each token, survivors who are not the obsession open exit gates 30% slower. Next up, we're going to transition over to his add-ons. First up, the Black Box. Whenever an exit gate is opened, it is blocked for sleeping survivors for 15 seconds. This lingers for 3 seconds after they're woken up by any means. Red Paintbrush reveals the auras of survivors in the dream world when they're further than 32 meters away, increases each survivor's sleep meter by 50%. Z-Block. Survivors hit with a Dream Snare or Dream Pallet are revealed for 3 seconds. Class Photo. Survivors in the dream world are revealed with Killer Instinct while opening exit gates. Grants the ability to teleport to exit gates. Pill Bottle. Each time a survivor wakes up, their sleep meter fills 10% faster, up to a maximum of 50%. Swing Chains. After using Dream Projection, block all window vaults within 60 meters for 6 seconds. Blue Dress. Dream Snare no longer moves. Dream Snare remains active for 8 seconds. Only 1 Dream Snare can be placed at a time. Jump Rope. Increases duration of hindered when a survivor is hit with a Dream Snare by 11%. Nancy's Masterpiece. Decreases Dream Projection's total cooldown by 10% after hitting a survivor with a Dream Snare or Dream Pallet. Paint Thinner. When a survivor drops a Dream Pallet, they are revealed with Killer Instinct for 6 seconds. Unlocks the ability to use Dream Projection on that survivor while they are revealed. Increases this Dream Projection start speed by 100%. Unicorn Block increases the Dream Pallet's rupture radius by 14%. Cat Block decreases Dream Projection's cooldown by 10%. Green Dress increases the time it takes for survivors to perform the wake up action by 2 seconds. Nancy's Sketch decreases sleep immunity after a survivor uses an alarm clock by 20%. Outdoor Rope increases the speed at which the Dream Snare travels by 15%. Prototype Claws decreases the charge time to release a Dream Snare by 10%. Garden Rake increases the size of the Dream Snare by 10%. Kids Drawing increases the amount of sleep gained from attacking with dream abilities by 10%. Sheep Block increases the alarm clock cooldown by 10%. Wool Shirt decreases the delay from Dream Pallet's rupture by 10%.
Next up, we have Sadako Yamamura. She was released on March 8th of 2022 in Chapter 23, Sadako Rising. She is from the 1991 horror novel franchise, The Ring. Game alias, Onryo. She is a Japanese female. Her mother left many questions unanswered. In her hometown, sailors disliked the way her mother would spend days on the beach, her eyes fixed on the foaming waves of the sea. Some said, "Frolic and brine, goblins be thine. If you keep playing in the water, the monster will come for you." 9 months later, Sadako was born. As a child, her immense powers seemed impossible to control and flared in anger. This became apparent when she was unable to control her rage during a public demonstration of her mother's powers. When a journalist called her mother a fraud, Sadako's powers surged, and the journalist collapsed to the floor, struck dead. Then everything went wrong. Her mother passed away, and shortly after, Sadako was lured to an old crumbling well. As she leaned over the rim, a long shadow fell over her. She turned, and a sudden jolt of pain hit her over the head, cracking it open. Her vision dimmed, and her mind swirled into unconsciousness. She felt 2 hands pushing her over the rim. Pain exploded in her skull as she hit the cold ground. A grinding noise came from above, and the well darkened. All light obscured like a midday eclipse. Every inch of her body screamed in pain. Looking up, she saw the only way out. She dug her nails into the muddy ground and slowly crawled towards the cobbled wall. She gripped the stones to climb, but had neither hold nor strength. Each time she clawed up a few inches, her nails slid against the wet wall and she slipped down. Her fingers gushed with blood as the coarse cobblestone tore off her nails and lacerated the flesh underneath. And yet she tried, again and again. Decades later, the meadow became a resort, and a log cabin was built above the well. When a visitor rented the cabin, Sadako found an opportunity for revenge. She summoned all her Nensha power and projected a terrible curse on a videotape that killed its viewer after 7 days. Her wrath was like the tides of a stormy sea, violent and unforgiving. As she plunged into a fury, a dark fog coiled at her feet. The sound of crashing waves echoed through the old stone well. Suddenly, a tidal surge came crashing down on the cabin's walls, wrecking its logs into a torrent of mud and filth. The black current flooded the well underneath and swallowed Sadako at once. When she opened her eyes, she stood on a desolate beach facing a vast, stormy ocean. A thick black fog caressed the water's surface. Sadako walked into a coming wave and slowly disappeared into the opaque fog. Moving on to her power, Deluge of Fear. Special ability, Manifestation. Before manifesting, the Onryo becomes undetectable and invisible to survivors, but intermittently visible when within 24 meters of them. The Onryo must manifest to attack survivors. Press and hold the power button to manifest in your current position. Briefly after manifesting, the Onryo will continue to be intermittently visible to survivors when within 24 meters. Afterwards, she will be fully visible within 24 meters for as long as she remains manifested. The Onryo can demanifest by pressing and holding the power button. Special ability, Projection. The Onryo can also take material form by projecting herself through a TV. Press the ability button while looking at a powered TV to project into it, shutting the TV off in the process. Survivor Affliction. Condemned. Survivors can temporarily turn off TVs with the retrieve tape action. At the TV farthest from their position, survivors can spread the Onryo's message by inserting their tape, which reduces the condemned progress. This also turns the TV off. When the power meter is full and the Onryo projects, any survivor near a powered TV will gain condemned progress. Hooking a survivor affected by condemned locks in 3 of their stacks, making it impossible to remove them for the rest of the trial. A fully condemned survivor is revealed by Killer Instinct and can be killed once downed. Moving on to her perks. Call of Brine. Whenever you damage a generator, it regresses 50% faster for 70 seconds. For that time, whenever a survivor hits a good basic skill check while repairing that generator, you are alerted. Merciless Storm. The first time each generator has 90% progress, survivors repairing it get special skill checks. If they miss one of these or stop repairing, that generator is blocked for 20 seconds. Scourge Hook, Floods of Rage. When the trial starts, 4 random hooks become Scourge Hooks. Whenever a survivor is unhooked from a Scourge Hook, you see the auras of other survivors for 7 seconds. Now we have her add-ons. Iridescent Videotape. Projection does not turn off TVs and does not apply Condemned. Increases the time it takes for a TV to turn on after being turned off by survivors by 20%. Remote Control. After using projection, the auras of survivors who are within 12 meters of a powered TV are revealed to you for 7 seconds. Distorted Photo. Survivors witnessing a manifestation from within 16 meters will scream, and then their auras are shown for 4 seconds. Tape Editing Deck. Each survivor starts the trial with a tape in their possession, and their target TV is the farthest from their location. Anytime a survivor inserts a tape in their target TV, reveal their aura for 6 seconds. Telephone. Manifestation afflicts survivors within 7 meters with a 3% hindered status effect for 3 seconds. VCR. All TVs play the projection effects when the Onryo projects to a TV. Bloody Fingernails. Increases the duration of projection's bonus movement speed by 50%. Mother's Comb. Turning off a TV will trigger a loud noise notification. Reveals the aura of any TV that is turned off by any means. Rickety Pinwheel. While survivors are within 8 meters of a powered TV, they are afflicted with the Oblivious status effect. This effect lingers for 7 seconds after the TV is turned off. Ring Drawing. When hooking a survivor carrying a tape, other survivors gain 1 condemned stack. Well Water. Increases the duration of the undetectable status effect by 2 seconds when manifesting by any means. Clump of Hair. Decreases the range at which the Onryo is visible while demanifested by 6 meters. Reiko's Watch. Increases the invisibility duration while demanifested by 25%. Sea-Soaked Cloth. While survivors are within 8 meters of a powered TV, they are afflicted with the Blindness status effect. This effect lingers for 7 seconds after the TV is turned off. Wellstone. Decreases the time it takes for a TV to turn on after being turned off by a survivor by 7 seconds. Yoichi's Fishing Net. Survivors with at least 4 stacks of Condemned suffer from blindness. Cabin Sign. Decreases the time it takes for a TV to turn on after projection by 4.5 seconds. Mother's Mirror. Increases the manifestation intermittent visibility duration by 2 seconds. Old Newspaper. Increases the manifestation invisibility duration by 33%. Videotape Copy. Increases the range at which survivors gain condemned from projection by 2 meters.
Next up, we have Albert Whiskers, released on August 30th, 2022, Chapter 25, Resident Evil Project W. His license belongs to the Resident Evil franchise video game. His game alias is The Mastermind, and he's an American male. His lore states, Albert Whisker was a high-ranking official in the Umbrella Corporation. While he made great strides with Umbrella, his ambition drove him to betray the corporation. Believing himself the best test subject, he exposed himself to the prototype virus. Now with superhuman strength, Wesker faked his death and went underground with a new plan. Expose the world to Ouroboros, a biological weapon that would eliminate the weak and leave only the strong. Wesker began to put his plan to action in Africa, but was confronted by members of the Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance at a hangar stocked with missiles carrying Ouroboros. Determined to be at the vanguard of evolution, he once again made himself a test subject. Exposing himself to Ouroboros, he began to evolve in ways he can never imagined. But as he felt his cells change, a strange black fog swept into the hangar and filled his vision. When the fog finally dissipated, he found himself in another world, surrounded by lesser beings that deserved to be put out of their misery. This is shown in his power, Virulent Bound. Press and hold the power button to charge a bound attack. While charging, the Mastermind moves slightly slower as he prepares his strike. When charged, press the attack button to bound. If the Mastermind hits a survivor, that survivor becomes inflicted or furthers their infection. Should the Mastermind crash into something during this bound, he will slam the survivor, causing damage. If not, the survivor is thrown, losing a health state if they are thrown into any solid object. If Virulent Bound hits a window or dropped pallet, the Mastermind will special vault the obstacle. Special effect, Ouroboros Infection. Upon being hit by a Virulent Bound, survivor become infected. Infected builds over time, and when fully infected, the survivor suffers from a 4% hindered status effect. With a Virulent Bound, grabs and slams the survivors while they are fully infected, the Mastermind will automatically carry them. Special interaction, First Aid Spray. At the beginning of each trial, several supply crates spawn. Each contains a first aid spray. When infected, a survivor can use the first aid spray on themselves or another, removing the infection. Each first aid spray has a set of number charges. After using a first aid spray, the survivor's location is briefly revealed by Killer Instinct. Awakened Awareness is the Mastermind's first perk, stating, while carrying a survivor within 20 meters of you, you see the auras of other survivors. Superior autonomy. Whenever a survivor fast vaults within 12 meters of you, the next time you basic vault a window, it is 40% faster, with a cooldown of 25 seconds. Terminus. When all generators are completed, all injured, downed, and hooked survivors get broken. When an exit gate is open, this ends after 45 seconds. Next on, his add-ons. Iridescent Ouroboros Vial. Survivors start the trial infected with Ouroboros. Survivors suffer from the exposed status effect for 30 seconds when reaching maximum infection. Lab Photo. You can special break pallets and breakable walls with Virulent Bound. Removes the ability to special vault pallets while using Virulent Bound. Dark Sunglasses. When a survivor is fully infected with the Ouroboros infection, gain the undetectable status effect for 20 seconds. Green Herb. Increases the rate of infection when grabbing a survivor during a Virulent Bound by 30%. Helicopter Stick. When a survivor uses a first aid spray, reveal their aura for 8 seconds. Ouroboros Virus. When a survivor reaches full infection, reveal their aura for 4 seconds. Egg Gold. Increases the duration of the additional Virulent Bound window by 20%. Maiden Medallion. When a survivor becomes fully infected, they suffer from the blindness status effect for 60 seconds. Portable Safe. Survivors injured by Virulent Bound suffer from the hemorrhage status effect until fully healed. Red Herb. Increases the time it takes for survivors to use a first aid spray by 2 seconds. Video Conference Device. Increases the infection passive gain rate by 30%. Bullhorn. Survivors that use the first aid spray suffer from the oblivious status effect for 30 seconds. Chalice Gold. Increases the Virulent Bound extension when grabbing a survivor mid-bound by 50%. Leather Gloves. Decreases the time to recharge Virulent Bound by 8 seconds. Lion Medallion. Increases the distance at which survivors are thrown by 30 seconds. Loose Crank increases movement speed between the first and second Verlaine bound by 15%. Jewel Beetle decreases Verlaine bound extension when grabbing a survivor mid-bound by 50%. Gains 100% bonus blood points for Verlaine bound score events. RPD Shoulder Walkie decreases the initial Verlaine bound distance by 20%. Increases the subsequent Verlaine bound distance by 20%. Unicorn Medallion increases the initial Verlaine bound distance by 20%. Decreases the subsequent Verlaine bound distance by 20%. Ouroboros Tenril increases movement speed while charging Verlaine bound by 5%.
Next up, we're going with Xenomorph. He was released August 29th in 2023 with the chapter Alien. He comes from the 1975 sci-fi horror movie Alien. A perfect organism, born of violence, designed to kill, the Xenomorph emerged from the chest cavity of a host named Cain and sought cover in the shadows of the Nostromo. As it shed its skin, the Xenomorph came to understand its environment. Using the ship's air ducts, it killed its prey one by one, until only the human Ripley remained. Desperate for survival, Ripley destroyed the Nostromo and sought refuge in an escape vessel. But the Xenomorph's instincts gave it the edge. As the escape vessel floated through space, the Xenomorph lay in wait, watching its prey. Just as it went in for the kill, the vessel's airlock opened, and the Xenomorph was ejected into the cold vacuum of space. All was lost, and then, in an instant, it disappeared in a cloud of black fog. Moving on to the Xenomorph's power. Hidden Pursuit. When the Xenomorph is in a trial, a series of tunnels become available to it. By accessing a control station, it can enter these tunnels and quickly move around the map, detect the presence of nearby survivors, and speed up the cooldown time of its crawler mode. Exiting a control station momentarily deactivates deployed turrets and tags nearby survivors with Killer Instinct. Special ability, Crawler Mode. The Xenomorph enters Crawler Mode automatically when not on cooldown. In Crawler Mode, the Xenomorph walks on 4 legs and becomes stealthier, reducing its terror radius while in Crawler Mode. The Xenomorph also has access to a brutal tail attack. Special map feature, Control Stations. 7 control stations are scattered across the map. Survivors can interact with these stations to get a remote flame turret, while the Xenomorph can enter and exit the tunnels underneath the control stations. Special item, Remote Flame Turret. Turrets can be placed in the map to counteract the Xenomorph. When the Xenomorph enters the radius and line of sight of a turret, the turret attacks. This attack staggers the Xenomorph and can cause Crawler Mode to end. If a turret successfully knocks the Xenomorph out of Crawler Mode, or fires for too long, it overheats and must be repaired by a survivor. The Xenomorph can attack turrets to destroy them. Carrying a turret makes you immune to detection while the killer is in the tunnel. Moving on to their perks. Ultimate Weapon. Whenever you search a locker, survivors within 40 meters gain blindness for 30 seconds and scream with a cooldown of 45 seconds. Rapid Brutality. Whenever you damage a survivor with a basic attack, you gain 5% haste for 10 seconds. While chasing a survivor, you cannot gain Bloodlust. Alien Instinct. Whenever you hook a survivor, the farthest injured survivor gains Oblivious for 60 seconds, and you see their aura for 8 seconds. Onto their add-ons. Acidic Blood. While exiting a tunnel in Crawler Mode, any survivor who stuns you with a pallet in the next 20 seconds takes damage. If that survivor is already injured, they suffer from Deep Wound. Improvised Cattle Prod. Each time a generator is completed, a 15-second timer starts. Any survivor who comes within 10 meters of a control station during that time has their aura revealed for the remainder of the timer. Cat Carrier. Exiting Crawler Mode due to a turret attack makes you undetectable for 30 seconds. Harpoon gun. Exiting a tunnel and hitting a survivor within 30 seconds causes all survivors further than 16 meters from you to scream and reveal their locations. Self-destruct bolt. While in crawler mode, you basic vault windows 30% faster. Semiotic keyboard. Generators within 16 meters of a turret have the intensity of their auras determined by their repair progress. Emergency helmet. Increases resistance to staggering from turrets by 15%. Kane's helmet. Survivors hit with a tail attack are mangled for 70 seconds. Molten skin. After deploying a turret, the deployed survivor suffers from the exhausted status effect for 30 seconds. Multi-purpose hatchet. Survivors hit by a tail attack suffer from hemorrhage. Parker's headband. After exiting a tunnel, gain 5% haste for 3 seconds. Ash's innards. Turrets take 15 seconds longer to respawn after they are destroyed. Brett's cap. Destroying a turret causes all survivors within 60 meters to suffer from blindness for 25 seconds. Crew headset. While in tunnels, footstep detection is increased by 6 meters. Lambert's star map. Decreases the flame distance of turrets by 2 meters. Light wand. Increases downtime of turrets by 3 seconds after exiting a tunnel. Cereal rations. Turret auras are visible while in tunnels and when coming out of vents for 3 seconds. Drinking bird. After exiting a tunnel, killer instinct duration is increased by 3 seconds. Ovomorph. The cooldown of crawler mode is 25% faster while outside of tunnels. Ripley's watch. When a turret removes crawler mode, it is automatically destroyed.
Next up, we have Vecna, released on June 3rd, 2024 in Chapter 32, Dungeons & Dragons. The license comes from the game Dungeons & Dragons, game alias The Lich. The lore says, the Whispered One, Lord of the Rotted Tower, the Master of Secrets. Few dare speak his true name for fear that he may hear, or worse. Even as a young wizard, Vecna's command of magic was matched by none, while others spent decades committing to and perfecting one school of magic. He effortlessly mastered each one of them. After his mother's execution for witchcraft, his focus became obsession as he poured the most of his studies into the darkest school of magic, necromancy, the magic of life and death. As his power grew, so did his ambition. Over the centuries, he shed his mortal shell and ascended to Lichdom. His power gave rise to a great empire ruled over from his rotted tower. His thirst for dark knowledge to fill his book of vile darkness led him to many realms and planes. But it was in his own realm one of his servants found something, a spell, perhaps torn from an ancient tome, written in a language he had never seen. From it he could sense an incredible dark energy. Without any document of the language, he had to spend months painstakingly analyzing its syntax, its phonetics, its form. He documented every stroke of every letter, searching and theorizing on their meaning in a massive book hidden in his chambers. When his lieutenants came to him with problems in their domain, Vecna told them to deal with it themselves. He had more important matters to attend to. Countless nights were spent memorizing the strange script, attempting to make it make sense. Only occasionally would he leave his keep to investigate rumors of people who had disappeared without a trace in the night. At these scenes, he could sense the same foreign magic that enabled from the torn page. He was convinced that whatever was killing these people had also written this strange script. He was confounded, which made him furious. The scenes, few and far between, had no pattern, no common motive, no sign of struggle, no body, and only a lingering hum of dark magic. To what end did they need these bodies? One dark night, he had a breakthrough. A word he had been interpreting as dying made more sense as disappearing. Perhaps these people were not being killed at all. Perhaps they were being taken alive. He applied this substitution through his notes, and everything seemed to fall into place. He copied what he had learned to a fresh piece of parchment, written fanatically. He began to speak the words out loud, and the room darkened. It filled with a creeping black fog. He felt himself displacing, going somewhere else. Vecna resisted, enchanting memorized spells, holding the fog at bay. But as he gazed into the darkness, he felt that alluring energy from it. A despair, an evil he could scarcely imagine. A sick curiosity overcoming him, he dropped his concentration and let the fog take him. Whatever it was, whenever it was, he understood that the only way to harness it was to submit to it. He knew in his cold, unbeating heart that his dark secrets would one day be his. Now let's transition to his power, Vile Darkness. To select a spell, hold Ability button 1 to open the spell selection. The Lich has 4 different spells. Maggot Hand creates a magical hand that lifts downed pallets or blocks upright pallets for 4 seconds. Flight of the Damned conjures 5 flying entities that pass through obstacles and injure survivors. Dispelling Sphere casts a moving invisible sphere that reveals survivors and temporarily disables magic items. Fly briefly move faster, ignoring vaults and pallets. Special item, magic items. Treasure chests found around the map can contain magic items for survivors to equip. These include boots and gauntlets of the Interloper. When Mage Hand is used, reveals auras of afflicted pallets and applies haste for 4 seconds. The Night Watch reveals auras of Flight of the Damned. The Archivist makes dispelling spheres visible. The Sky Guard reveals the Lich's aura during fly and for a few seconds after. Additionally, upon procurement, all magic items briefly reveal Vecna's aura. Special items, Hand and Eye of Vecna. Rarely, treasure chests contain the hand or eye of Vecna. When picked up and used by a survivor at full health, they cost them a health state, reveal their location with killer instincts for 4 seconds, and grants them a special ability. Hand of Vecna. A fast locker entry teleports the survivor to a further locker. Eye of Vecna, a fast locker exit, hides the survivor's aura and grants haste for 12 seconds. Moving on to his perks, starting with Dark Ignorance. You basic vault windows 25% faster. Whenever you're blinded or pallet stunned, the duration is 15% longer. Languid Touch. Whenever a survivor within 36 meters of you scares a crow, they gain exhausted for 10 seconds. Cooldown for 5 seconds. Weave of Attunement. The first time each item is depleted, it is dropped. While a survivor is within 12 meters of a dropped item, you see their aura, and they see the item's aura. Whenever a survivor picks up an item, they gain Oblivious for 30 seconds. Next up, we have add-ons. Iridescent Book of Vile Darkness states, using the fly spell to pass through any vault location blocks that location for survivors for 40 seconds. Lowers the number of spectral entities created by Flight of the Damned by 3 and makes them fly lower to the ground. Vorbel Sword. Any injured survivor that enters a dispelling sphere screams and gains broken for 30 seconds. Whenever you cast Maggot Hand on a dropped pallet after 4 seconds, its special breaks. Bag of Holding. 2 treasure chests are guaranteed to roll 1 on the dice roll. Opening treasure chests grants the Oblivious status effect to survivors for 15 seconds. Cloak of Invisibility. Gain undetectable for 20 seconds each time all of your spells are on cooldown at the same time. Dragon Tooth Dagger applies hemorrhage and mangled status effects to survivors hit with a basic attack while holding a magic item for 60 seconds. Robe of Eyes reveals the auras of survivors within 6 meters of a treasure chest for 4 seconds each time you cast a spell. Boots of Speed, casting Magic Hand, grants you 3% haste for 2 seconds. Cloak of Elvenkind reduces tear radius by 22 meters while the fly spell is active. Ornate Horn increases the number of entities created by Flight of the Damned by 1. Pearl of Power reduces the remaining cooldown for your spells by 2 seconds each time you land a basic attack. Staff of Withering. Dispelling Sphere causes the exhausted status effect for 30 seconds to survivors who enter its radius. Glass Eye increases the size of Dispelling Sphere by 2 meters and its movement speed by 10%. Lantern of Revealing reveals the aura of survivors narrowly missed by Flight of the Damned for 3 seconds. Potion of Speed decreases the period where you cannot attack after casting Fly by 0.1 seconds. Ring of Spell Storing decreases the cooldown of all spells by 1 second. Ring of Telekinesis. Whenever you cast Magic Hand on an upright pallet for 10 seconds, you basic vault windows 10% faster. Crystal Ball. Whenever survivors revealed by Dispelling Spear, the Killer Instinct effects last for an additional 1 second. Raven's Feather increases duration of the fly spell by 0.5 seconds. Tattered Headband increases the distance of Flight of the Damned spectral entities by 4 meters. Trickster's Gloves increases the time Magic Hand holds a pallet up by 0.3 seconds.
Next up, we have Burong Sukapat. She was released on September 23rd, 2025 in the chapter Sinister Grace, with the game alias of the Krasue. She's a Thai female mythological spirit Burong Sukapat's operatic rehearsals in Thailand were a sea of emotion. But despite tiring efforts, she was unable to become anything more than an understudy. What started as a desire to share her gift became an unspeakable need for fame. Her childhood friend, Janjira, was her biggest supporter. But aside from a shoulder to cry on, there was little more she could offer. It wasn't until Malai, a fellow singer who had quickly risen the ranks, reached out, that Barong's fortunes changed. Malai presented Barong with a glass bottle, a clear liquid within, and advised her to drink it, her tone deadly serious. Each night, another will inhabit your body, but you will be a success on the stage like me. Burong laughed at the peculiar game. Even so, she wanted more than anything to believe its truth. She grabbed the bottle, swallowing every drop. In the following weeks, Burong's skin felt softer, and she found a depth in her voice that she never knew existed. During her next audition, the director took notice, enraptured by the sound that rang through the theater. As the song ended, Burong thanked the director before coughing blood into a handkerchief. She stuffed it into her pocket, choosing ignorance. Whatever was happening to her was working. She wouldn't dare stop it now. That night, as she slept, a soothing warmth dripped down her body. She bolted upright, hand fumbling for a lamp that wasn't there. She lay in a yard she did not recognize, covered in blood. Next to her, a ravaged chicken coop, feathers and gore staining the ground. She stumbled home before the city awoke to a new day. Under a scalding shower, she spit up blood, dreading the thought that this hadn't been her first hunt. In between heaving sobs, she prodded her abdomen, searching where something might hide within. She called Janjira, but couldn't bring herself to reveal the horrors, instead telling her friend she'd been restlessly sleepwalking each night and needed someone to coax her back to bed. Janjira agreed to help. That morning, Burong awoke to Janjira's hand leveling placed on her cheek. As she looked up, she choked on her cries. Janjira's severed hand fell from the bed, landing on her disemboweled carcass. For hours, she sat beside her friend's remains in a state of silent shock. Janjira was dead, and for what? When she couldn't stand the smell of blood any longer, she grabbed cleaning supplies. As the sun set, a deep stain remained on the carpet. She walked through the streets until she reached Malai's home. Malai opened the door and, upon seeing Barong's eyes, immediately defended herself. She claimed she committed no wrong. She had been cursed, and the only way to be rid of it was to pass it to someone else. She believed that Barong, in her desire for fame, could withstand the torment and achieve what she'd always wanted. Anger stirred within Barong. She fell to the floor as furious heat spilled over her. Malai stared in horror while Barong dug nails into her own skin, ripping at the burning agony. As she tore chunks of flesh from her neck, her entrails wriggled inside. Her head tore free from her body, a long string of organs dragging behind like fish slapping against the shore. A seething hunger took over as Barong's disembodied head lifted into the air. It swooped at Malai, ravenously mauling the woman until nothing remained but blood, hair, and bone. Barong awoke to the mess, unable to find the sympathy to shed a tear. She returned home, allowing her thoughts to swirl until the room filled with light. The phone rang. The director's voice cut through the haze that had settled in her mind. He offered her the leading role. Barong fell to her bed and cried, not from sadness, but from relief and elation. During the evenings on the Bangkok stage, her star shined bright. At night, she fed the creature within, and together they thrived in a world of hunger and song. But the creature always wanted more, and one night it was presented just that. A promise of meat, hung on hooks, dripping in tantalizing blood. And then there was fog. Moving on to her power, unbodied flesh. Special ability, corporeal weave. The Krasue can shift between body and head forms at will. Body form has a 32-meter tear radius. Head form has a 40-meter tear radius. It is slightly faster, can special vault, but cannot break dropped pallets or gain bloodlust in chase. Special effect, leeched. Hitting a survivor with intestinal whip or a leeching gland adds to their leech meter. When the meter is filled, the survivor is affected with leech 1. At leech 1, the leech meter fills automatically. At leech 2, the survivor is afflicted with broken. If healthy, they become injured. Special ability, intestinal whip. In head form, press the attack button to lash out with your internal organs. Survivors afflicted with leech can be damaged by intestinal whip. Intestinal whip partially fills a survivor's leech meter up to leech 1. Special ability, regurgitate. In body form, press and hold the power button to charge regurgitate. When charged, tap the attack button to spew a leeching gland. Leeching gland completely fills a survivor's leech meter up to leech 1. Special item, glowing fungus. Survivors can eat glowing fungus to decrease the leech meter over time. Being hit ends the effect. Special ability, headlong flight. In head form, press and hold the power button to speed through the air. Now on to the perks. Ravenous. The first time you hook each survivor, you earn 1 token. When you have 4 tokens, all survivors scream and gain exposed for 60 seconds. Wandering Eye. Whenever you start chasing a survivor, for the next 5 seconds, you see the auras of all other injured survivors within 20 meters. It has a cooldown of 30 seconds. Hex, Overture of Doom. When the trial starts, a dull totem ignites and hexes the farthest generator from it. After a survivor repairs the hex generator for 5 seconds, you gain undetectable for 30 seconds, and for that time your tear radius is set to that generator. When the hex generator is repaired, the next farthest generator is hexed. Moving on to her add-ons. Chicken Head. All survivors start afflicted with Leech 1. 2 additional glowing fungi are spawned at the start of the trial. Shredded Gown. Corporeal Weave reveals the auras of all survivors who are within 8 meters of glowing fungus or holding glowing fungus of their own for 5 seconds. Lorenzo's Remains. Leeched 1 applies blindness. Leeched 2 applies 4% hindered. Mysterious Elixir. Whenever you hit a window with Gleeching Gland, it is marked. Whenever you vault the marked window, it is blocked for 10 seconds, then the mark is removed. Only one window can be marked at a time. Queen's Scepter. Successful intestinal whip hits cause a leeching gland to spatter near the survivor. Rotten Swine. Whenever you hit a generator, dropped pallet, or breakable wall with leeching gland, it is marked. You damage or basic break the marked object 15% faster than the mark is removed. Only one object can be marked at a time. Dulled Knife. Decreases headlong flight's charge consumption by 25%. Glowing Fungus grants survivors 10% haste for 5 seconds, while preventing scratch marks, pools of blood, grunts of pain, and aura reveals. Framed Newspaper. Increases headlong flight's charges by 6 and its recharge rate by 15%. Headlong flight must be at least half charged to activate. Janjira's Hand. Gain 2 headlong flight charges whenever a generator is repaired. Headlong flight's recharge rate is increased by 25% for 15 seconds. When 5 generators are repaired, headlong flight is fully charged and the recharge rate is permanently increased by 25%. Spattered Handkerchief. When the exit gates are powered, all survivors are afflicted with Leeched 1. Glowing fungi begin to decay, and activating Corporeal Weave no longer creates new glowing fungi. Theater Binoculars. Hitting a non-leeched survivor with Intestinal Whip reveals the auras of other survivors within 24 meters for 5 seconds. Chunk of Malai. Decreases the glowing fungus cleanse rate by 8% for each leeched survivor. Crumpled Sheet Music. Gain 12 charges to headlong flight when a survivor is hit by a leeching gland. Defective Metronome. Survivors under the glowing fungus's effect are exhausted. Pig's Eye. When a survivor eats a glowing fungus from further than 40 meters away, their aura is revealed to you for 6 seconds. Wriggling Parasite. Increases the passive growth rate to Leech 2 by 16%. Broken Tiara. Survivors are oblivious under the glowing fungus's effect. First Libretto. Decreases headlong flight's consumption rate by 30% for 15 seconds anytime you hook a leeched survivor. Luckless Mouse. Increases headlong flight's charges by 2. Sticky Lozenge. When charging Regurgitate, see a preview of the impact zone.
Lastly, we have Henry Creel, released on January 27, 2026. In Chapter 38, Stranger Things, Part 2. His game alias is The First, and he's an American male. His lore says, from a young age, Henry Creel was distinguished by humanity and their endless cycles of eating, reproducing, and dying. As this hatred fermented, he discovered that he had psychic abilities, using them to viciously murder his mother and sister, leaving his father to take the blame. Next up, his power. Test subject number 1. Special ability, Vine Attack. Press and hold the power button to charge a vine attack. When charged, press the attack button to activate it, creating a small area of effect on the ground. Any survivor caught within the area of the vine attack earn a World Breaker token. Special ability, the Upside Down and Undergate. The killer can enter the Upside Down to navigate the map quickly by tapping the ability button. While in the Upside Down, the killer can activate an Undergate attack to return to the map, creating a large area of effect on the ground. Survivors caught within its radius gain 2 World Breaker tokens. Special condition / item, World Breaker and Grandfather Clocks. Once the survivor has gained enough tokens, World Breaker activates, and the World Breaker timer begins. While World Breaker is active, Both the Vine attack and Undergate attacks do damage to survivors instead of adding World Breaker tokens, and 4 Grandfather Clocks activate. World Breaker lasts for a predetermined amount of time based on the number of survivors alive. Survivors can interact with the Grandfather Clocks spread around the map to speed up the World Breaker timer. Moving on to his perks. Hex Hive Mind. The first time you hook a survivor, a totem ignites. The auras of generators show their progression. When one generator remains, all generators explode, lose 10% progress, and start regressing. The Hex totem is extinguished. Secret Project. Whenever a totem is blessed or cleansed, a random unblocked generator is blocked for 30 seconds. Whenever one or more generators are blocked, you gain undetectable for 30 seconds. Lastly, turn back the clock. After hooking a survivor, for the next 60 seconds, use M4 to make target generator you see within 20 meters explode. Lose 10% progress and start regressing. Moving on to his add-ons. First up, Chess Piece. The Vine attack has 2 charges and its attack radius is diminished by 40%. Iridescent Sartorial Chip. When World Breaker activates, the killer gains undetectable, and survivors with at least 1 World Breaker token have their auras revealed when coming within 12 meters of the killer. This lasts until the killer performs a Vine attack, enters the Upside Down, or World Breaker ends. Black Widow Spider. Entering the Upside Down while in World Breaker mode makes the furthest survivor more than 36 meters away reveal their location for 3 seconds. Broken Skateboard. When World Breaker mode starts, you basic vault windows 30% faster, and auras of pallets and windows are revealed to you within 32 meters for the next 65 seconds. Electric Shock Collar. When coming out of the Upside Down, for 12 seconds, all windows within 32 meters are blocked. Rabbit Remains. Survivors gain the Exhausted status effect when standing in or entering the Undergate's attack radius, and for 10 seconds after. Increases the cooldown of Upside Down Traversal by 5 seconds. Electric Road Cap. At the start of the second phase of World Breaker mode, or when survivors complete the Grandfather Clock interactions, survivors more than 26 meters away from the killer have their aura revealed for 6 seconds. Forged Death Certificate. Whenever you successfully place a World Breaker token on a survivor via Vine Tag, you gain undetectable status effect until the next World Breaker mode activation. Neck Tendril. Survivors hit by the Vine attack while in World Breaker mode receive hemorrhage and mangled status effects for 70 seconds. Pizza Goggles. The Undergate attack's area of effect range is reduced by 90% and its cooldown time is shortened by 25 seconds. You exit cooldown time after executing the Undergate attack is reduced by 80%. Victor's Razor Blade. When World Breaker mode ends, injured survivors become afflicted with the broken status effect for the next 20 seconds. Bloody Roller Skate. When activating the Undergate attack, the killer gains a 20% haste status effect for 1.5 seconds upon exiting. Clock Hands. Survivors gain the Oblivious status effect when interacting with Grandfather Clocks and for 12 seconds after. Gutted Supercom. While out of World Breaker mode, survivors hit by Vine attacks have their aura shown for 1.5 seconds. Shattered Wrist Rocket. Whenever you Undergate attack, dropped pallets and generators caught in the blast special break and explode. Smash Cassette Deck. At the start of the match, all survivors scream. All survivors start with 1 World Breaker token. When World Breaker is activated for the first time, all survivors lose their World Breaker tokens. One less Grandfather Clock appears on the map. Bead Maze. The second phase of the World Breaker timer is increased by 2.5 seconds for each living survivor. Mid-Century Radio. While in World Breaker mode, grandfather clocks more than 32 meters away being worked on by survivors have their auras revealed. Orderly's ID. While out of World Breaker mode, the Vine attack's aiming range is increased by 2 meters. Stained glass mural. While upside down traversal is on cooldown, whenever you basic break pallets or breakable walls, the cooldown decreases by 12 seconds.
If you are curious about this information down the road, feel free to head over to our website to see all of this at any time from any mobile device or computer. Thank you for joining us here at Exploring the Entity. Remember to follow us on Spotify and Instagram at Exploring the Entity.
Also, check us out on the visual side on YouTube at Exploring the Entity DVD. Until next time, Dellings, keep your eyes on the shadows, listen for the claws, because the fog doesn't just surround you, it waits for you.